Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday night. Welcome to the HammerFist podcast, live here on mmafightpass. We are going live, actually, from the ValleyFightClub here in Hanford, the iconic ValleyFightClub. Those people, old school, and even the next generation, I'm sure have known if you're in Hanford, this is the place to train. I'm sure there's other facilities, but this is the place if you're serious to train. A lot of stuff to go on. We got a couple of fighters and actually coach too, and then we got my co-host here, actually the proprietor of Valley Fight Club, Bailey Silveira. So a lot to cover, a lot of things passed this last week. We can recap, and welcome to the show. Let's get this.
Nice seeing you today, Chris.
Hey, same here, man. Hey, this last week, man, we had the UFC. Whew.
Oh, that was one tremendous card. It was stacked from bottom to top, and a lot of stuff went down.
What did you think overall, I mean, on that card after everything is all said and done now?
Well, I went in there thinking that, a few people were going to do things a little bit differently. Obviously, we can't deny the Shevchenko fight. That knockout was incredible. I'm glad that Jessica I's okay, because she was unconscious for probably like 4 minutes. It
bulletproof.
It was a long time. She was not bulletproof.
Yeah.
Turns out she was not bulletproof. The Cerrone-Ferguson fight was amazing, but it didn't end the way that anyone wanted. No one wants A, a punch after the bell, intentional or not, and B, nobody wants a medical stoppage like that. I mean, he broke the cardinal rule, though. He blew a broken nose.
And that's that. I mean, old school, and then he's won. So, yeah, it's just one. I don't know, man. There's talk. Oh, he was just looking for a way, and that was just his way to do it again. But you don't know. And like I said last week, that road's kind of getting shorter, and there's just. I thought it would end in a TKO. So, but I thought it would be a little bit different. Unfortunately, I'm sure they're going to do it again. Definitely for the fans. Dana White even said too, nobody was really satisfied up until that point.
Right.
But I think Ferguson had that fight of it continued.
Yeah, the first round was super competitive. There was a lot of back and forth. They each had their moments, and I would have even scored the round for Cowboy. The first round was a very good fight, very competitive. But the second round was all Tony.
Yeah.
It was the Tony Ferguson El Cucuy.
Yeah, he got into his rhythm. He got into his rhythm, man, and started putting some combinations together and everything like that. But the main event, Henry, again, man, silenced the doubters. I thought he was going to get knocked out.
I thought Moraes was gonna take it too. I mean, it wasn't his fight the first couple rounds. I mean, Moraes was just chewing up those legs, but there was a pivotal moment in between rounds, where Moraes was starting to look really tired.
Yeah, he did, and then he got like a chin check, and after that, he kind of like, whoa.
He came out there with a completely different demeanor in that round. He was completely gassed, and Cejudo he was like a dog with a bone.
He thought he would get him out of there a lot quicker, and most of his fights, as everybody knows him, don't last that long. So, unfortunately, it didn't go that way. And hey, Henry, and I think he deserves a pay raise, man. He's produced and made a lot of people poor because they bet against him.
They all deserve a pay raise in my book, but yeah, he definitely is up there. What did you think about his list of call-outs? He called out Cody Garbrandt, who's on, a 3-fight skid?
He's trying to make money.
Yeah.
He's good.
Dominic Cruz, and then Uriah Faber. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that list, his hit list?
Garbrandt, I think that'd be good, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd like to see him and Uriah. I think that would be
so you'd like to see Cejudo and Uriah. What about you, Diamond? What do you think?
I think he called out people he thinks he can beat.
Yeah.
But that are still relevant, still pretty big names. I think I'd like to see him fight Cruz. I think that'd be a great fight. I think Cruz's style against him would look pretty cool. So,
yeah, I think that'd be a good one too.
But I think he wants that money.
Money
those are all dollar fights too. Yeah. You think about it.
And then he even said, well, I might even go up to featherweight and get a third belt. That's a stretch, taking it a stretch.
Then I would like to see him and Brian Ortega.
Oh man, T-City would kill him.
That would be good. This way, T City beats him. Then he said, "All right, now I got a chance to hit the strap again."
You don't think so?
I think just the hurdle with the weight difference is just
Too big.
too much for him to
And then
And the size,
height
God.
difference
Yeah,
would
the
be-
height reach difference. I mean, it sounds appealing until I think it actually happens, and then you see how all that plays out in the fight. But yeah, I agree. I think he called out like the money fights. Those are fights people want to see Uriah Faber come back. He's the California kid. Everybody loves Uriah Faber. I was watching him before I started fighting. Dominic Cruz is stylistically, he's always a puzzle for everybody.
Yeah.
Just the way he goes about, you know, he changed the game. I mean, he basically he's made TJ Dillashaw into the fighter he is today just based off his style and how dominant he was. So he's calling out guys that people want to see, and you know he's going to put money in his pocket. He's playing a smart game. I think he's doing the Conor McGregor blueprint.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It seems like everybody's doing that, and you know trying to bring as much as they can in their pocketbooks while they still at the top of their game and people want to see them. So it's smart call out to me. Makes sense. I would pay to see it.
If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, right?
That's exactly right.
Triple C.
Triple C.
Triple C.
That's it. And well, she brings this week. Well, let's see what else happened. Oh, Triple G Oxley boxed. Fight was short, quick, boom. Paid obligations to the zone, or just dancing, or whatever you want to call it. But anyways, that was short-lived. Tyson Fury fights this week. And,
Tom Schwartz.
Tomorrow night, Bellator. The tournament thing continues. Aaron Pico returns. see what happens, man.
And you've got, Neiman Gracie on the card.
Another
You've got
one. Another
the
one.
Red King. You got Roy
Sonnen.
McDonald, Chael Sonnen, Leo Machida.
Yeah.
And then, everyone's really anticipating the Dylan Dennis fight, right?
Heck yeah. That guy.
Yeah. But so there's a lot of action, a lot going on. As far as the local scene in Northern California, we have the Red Dragon?
Dragon House.
The Dragon House, having their event at, I think, the Kezar Stadium. And from what I understand, there's about 20 bouts that are scheduled. We got here Hanford local here, while he's in Tulare now, he lives right behind me. Van Palacio will be on that card, heavyweight. Butter, Manteca, for those bilingual. And then we also have Big Al Gonzalez, well-known amateur, made his debut in Combates America, came up a little short, and trying to redeem himself, get on the right track again. And also our producer, actually, and his son, have been working with Big Al in the wrestling scene, so he's going to be out there in his corner, hopefully bringing us some good luck. And then, let's see, the 22nd, the following week.
There's a couple of events that weekend. There's Knockout Promotions. There's a few other stuff going on in the Bay, including Bay Area Combat up in Napa. We have 2 guys, should be 3 guys. Come on, guys, stop breaking your hands when you're going to be fighting my guys. Please, stop getting hurt. So if you're 170 in the Bay, hit Steve up. Let him know you're ready to fight. So I'm looking for someone for my guy. But Marcus, he'll be fighting up there, fighting Hat Calling, number 15 ranked in the state. Just fought Omar Renault at VFS. Marcus is coming off of a win in his MMA debut. He's experienced in boxing and Muay Thai competition as well. He was our own in-house champ. He had some belts with the Combat Association, still has them. And then we have Sterling Ingram fighting, Brandon Bolden, also from the Bay Area, the Bay Area Combat. And hopefully we can get Ryan Ballin, one of our other guys who has the worst luck in the entire world, a replacement up there. It's going to be a good show.
You ain't lying.
I'm not. I wish I was. But Marcus is going to be fighting a pretty big step up in competition. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm just excited about getting in there. I've been competing in boxing, like Bailey said, for a while. Did some Muay Thai a couple years back, and now finally I kind of made my debut. I feel like it was long overdue, a debut for MMA in May. And now just getting the opportunity to stay active and go out there on June 22nd for Bay Area Combat and take on a guy like Hat Culling, who just came out from title fight. So that's something I'm excited about. I plan on staying active. I'm not looking past my fights, but I have a projected window of what I want to do by year's end, and I plan on making everything that I'm involved in exciting every time I do it. So that means I got to throw some caution to the wind, or got to put some risk out there in order to obtain a win, and I'm willing to do that. And that just kind of goes with what my ambitions are and what my goals are. So Pat Cohen and me will have a meeting come the 22nd, and it should be hoping to make it one of the highlights on the card. So
he's definitely a game opponent. When we saw him fight at Valley Fight Series, there's a reason why he's up in that top 15, and hopefully we can put on a really good show for the fans. And it's always good when you see the two of the bigger guys, the taller guys, the light heavyweights get in there and show a lot of skill and heart and technique. And Diamond's been working closely with Ryan and we call him Money, Sterling, as well, and getting them ready, getting them prepared for some tough opponents.
That's awesome. Also, Pure Combat, they make their return also up in Northern California. Al Jocelyn and gang, and one of many fights scheduled this year. We'll get more information as it gets a little bit closer. So, God, a lot of MMA. And then at the end of the month, 559 Fights returns to Visalia, championship fights, and they're just on a short note. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say this. We've had, Cody Sons on here off and on, a couple things, and he had a fight Sunday and against a former UFC vet, Aaron Brink, who's up in his years and stuff like that, and people jump on Aaron, no pun intended, because he was in a porn star. I don't know if he was a star, but he did a few videos, yes, during that day. But unfortunately, Cody Sons came on the short end of that fight, and just want to say that out there. Hey, he went and tried to do his thing, man. Much respect for him, because the guy has a lot of experience, but just got to get back and get busy.
That happens. It seems like people always talk about, so-and-so won, so-and-so did this, but you got to look at every time you fight. Obviously, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser, but sometimes, the saying really does come true. You either win or you learn, and hopefully when you take the opportunity to fight someone with that much experience and that UFC experience, you're going to be learning something. No matter what the outcome, you're going to definitely have a lot to take back and work on.
That's exactly it, man. And they figure, even though it's been a while since the guys did that, the styles have changed tremendously, but still to be able to have the opportunity to fight at that level, and anybody during those times that have fought, a lot of people still remember, even though it's been a while back. So that has to say something. Yeah,
and it's good that we have people that are still willing to get in there and fight after having a lot of experience. A lot of people, after they make it to the big show, the big leagues, if they don't have a very successful outing, that's it for them.
Yeah.
They don't really work their way back up the ladder, even if it may not necessarily be realistic that they get back into that level, but they need to keep working at it and keep working their way back up the ladder, because the show isn't always over.
No, and I mean, the way these guys, the younger generation, are evolving real quick, you have to, either that or you're just not going to do it. Because you even have guys that have been in the UFC just like, say, within the last 3 years, 4 years, and then, for some reason they've lost fights, so they get cut. They go to regional shows and try to work their way back, and a lot of them don't make it back, even though they're young and they haven't really reached their prime yet.
Or even in the cases of Elias Thurado, who aren't necessarily on a losing streak or a skid, and for whatever reason get cut. And it seems like for right now, the UFC is on a major cutting streak. I mean, Elias got cut, and a few others got cut, and I know that Tai Tuivasa just fought this past weekend. I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name. It's going to go with the last name, fought Ivanov.
Yeah.
And I guess Justin Willis, who was potentially on that list of people being cut, I guess he called out Tai Tuivasa and said, look, let's fight, and the loser has to leave the UFC.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Hail Mary passes if there's ever been, but I don't think that we're at that point with Tuivasa. I mean, that was a good fight. I wouldn't say we're at that point.
No.
Not even close.
No, the guy he's a gamer. Every time he fights, you don't know what the hell's going to happen, and he brings it, you know.
I mean, he drinks beer out of a shoe. You got to give him some credit, right?
Yeah.
That was gross.
Yeah,
That was gross.
It is gross, but hey, teach their own.
That's it. Diamond, man, what's going on with you, bud? I know you're putting work in for these guys and, your guys' team and everything like that, but what about you, buddy? Do you have edges again?
No, I definitely have the edge, yeah. I'm ready to fight right now, but yeah, I had some issues I was dealing with, had some injuries, and I think my last fight was last year. I actually fought at Dragon House 29, went out there and got beat up, but I think now, right now, since our guys are pretty much on a tear right now, and we're keeping them active, they're fighting, they're in the gym every day, they're training with me, and right now I'm mainly like working on everybody else that we have fighting amateur right now, trying to get them to the next level. And everyone's looking good, but I'm hoping to make my return before the end of the year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
nice.
that'll be awesome. I mean, almost in schedule towards Tachi when they return.
That's kind of the part of the goal, honestly, because we fought out there a few times, amateur and pro, and then I always say back in the day, but also way back in the day too. Yeah, he had his debut there as well, and not enough credit goes out to the matchmaking out there. They're excellent guys, one of the top pro promotions, especially in the area. And that's the goal.
I fought one of the guys that I represented, Armando Espinosa.
Yeah.
I thought I was
trying
that same guy. Yeah, and that was. But it was a time where you're making a transition too. It was kind of like a quick type fight, like that too.
Yeah, I think most of mine were
like 11 days notice, I think.
11 days notice.
So that makes a lot of difference, man.
Yeah.
And especially when you're fighting a guy that's a prospect that they brought in.
Yeah.
They've invested.
Yeah,
in
we
him,
knew he was tough going in.
Yeah. So
But it was
I mean, under Dave Terrell and Joe Soto.
Yeah.
The thing I look at is, in this area especially, you're gonna fight again. There's gonna come a day where a lot of these guys that you fought, whether amateur or pro, you're gonna cross paths.
Yeah.
And that's almost good, because then there's a little bit of story to the fight. It makes it a good sell, and then you guys know each other. It's going to be a good fight. There's going to be a level of inherent respect there.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's important.
Oh heck yeah! Especially if it was a short notice fight like that, then a lot of times promoters or promotions like to see, hey, you know what, man, let's allow him some time. Let's give him 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever like that. Hopefully everybody will stay healthy on both sides. Let's see how it turns out this way. And because especially if you sell a lot of tickets, it's you paying for yourself, so the promoter's saying, hey, he's paying for himself. What am I going to lose?
Especially, when
then
the whole
local,
thing,
so
putting butts in seats, when it all boils down to butts in seats.
True. Yeah. That's true.
Fight locally, I think, is it's a big boost. Not just to your confidence, but it just feels good when you're walking out and you're
on a familiar ground.
Yeah, that pretty much everyone in your team is out there to see you.
Yeah.
Everyone from your gym has made the drive to come see you, and it feels good. When you hear that much screaming for you, rather than fighting somewhere else and you get like 4 woos in the crowd, and you can pick out who was that. Who
Tell
it
me,
was.
okay,
Yeah.
that was your pro debut, right?
With Armando, yes.
Yeah. Walk us through a little bit of the experience, because you did the amateur deal and stuff like that, and all that. But when you're changing to pro, and then you're in the Mecca, Tachi Palace.
Yeah.
And you're coming out and you're like, God, is this real? Everybody has that natural dump.
Mm-hmm.
But man, tell us a little about what that experience was, dude.
It's pretty surreal. Like when you go from amateur, it's kind of like some promotions are better than others, and they have that feel, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. This is almost like pro. But when I made my debut at the Palace, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, Marcus was there with me, and we're going like, all right, you guys, you're gonna go into this room and do your video, and go into this room and take photos, and it's like, whoa, this is like some real pro stuff right now.
Yeah,
so it's
that's awesome.
And then walking out, when you walk out, you know they have the stage. The
Everything's scheduled, man.
Everything's scheduled. The lights are on. Your music's playing, and
it all comes together.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Yeah.
It's really surreal, but it's a lot of fun. But it's not like, you know, it's nothing like amateur. Once you're doing it, it's pretty cool. They also put on amateur fights there too.
Yeah.
We had some guys fighting there, and it was almost the same thing. I was like, wow, you guys are getting like all the pro glory, you know,
treatment.
The pro treatment, and, you know, just not getting paid, but it was really cool to see that, you know, they treated everyone like that. It was cool.
And they feed you good.
Yeah, they feed you good. It's just a different experience.
Yeah,
it's really awesome.
That's the, you know, I've always asked, you know, and people, God, you always ask that question because it's different for everybody, you know.
It is, and it also depends on your background if you make that transition. Some people, they do 1 or 2 amateur fights and then they go pro. Some people do 10 or 12 amateur fights and they go pro. So everyone has that totally different experience. Yeah. And, you know, like with our guys, most likely, typically, they have a couple amateur fights in different disciplines, and then when they go pro into one. Yeah. And that gives them an even more compelling difference than someone else might have as they make that transition.
That's it. And as a gym owner and a facility that has all the equipment to whatever you really desire, does that help you guys when you actually have somebody, you know, that everybody's familiar with and actually is one of your instructors? You
know, it really does. It's you know, I always say we're a big family, and part of my speech that I give people is that whenever someone has a fight, we all pack up and go. But it's really true. Yeah. Like the kids in the youth classes, they're like, oh, is Coach Diamond fighting? Oh, I want to be there. Oh, Money's fighting? I want to be there. The kids go, that they bring their parents, the whole gym packs up, and it kind of gives the whole gym like an adrenaline boost. It's kind of like, you know, everyone gets excited when they have a loved one that's competing in some facet or another.
It's kind of like those old days, like the karate days.
Yeah.
Remember when you go into a tournament, everybody goes.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, because everybody's into it. It is that. That's awesome.
And with the way we're set up, we have so many different disciplines and we do so many different things. It kind of there's something for everyone. Yeah. So we might have people that, they're elite level mindset with Muay Thai. Like that's their thing. That's their niche. Their Muay Thai. Well, guess what? We're gonna have some guys doing Muay Thai fights. Or I really like boxing. Well, we have some guys that do boxing. Or man, I'm all about MMA. We have some guys that do that. So it's a little bit something for everybody. And I think that gives the team, and you guys can chime in too, I think that gives the team a little bit more to feed off of because of that, because you know you've got people that have interests in so many different areas, and you know they're gonna be there. I mean, we even have a family who's going to drive all the way to Napa, 2 kids and parents gonna drive all the way to Napa to support the team because they're like, we just don't want to miss it. We really want to be there. And that's a big commitment. That's a big drive.
Oh, heck yeah. Speaking of that, I know there's a lot of costs that you guys incur, and these guys being at the amateur level, obviously they're not, but anything that you can do to help sponsor offsets costs. And then you, I know, you know, as their main person that schedules things and get everything together too. I mean, you're limited on what you can do. Right. You have something going on too.
We do. We actually have a raffle going on. We're going to be raffling off 2 different memberships, a 3-month membership and a 6-month membership. And you know, if you're a current member, you can apply that to your time at the end. If you're not a current member, you can jump in and get started on some training. For a $10 donation, you can be entered to win one of those 2 prizes. We're going to draw those 2 winners next Thursday. So a week from today, we're going to do that drawing on the 19th. The raffle closes on the 18th. Just come on in, enter as many times as you'd like. A $10 donation. We'll be giving away some tickets too, as well. Any little bit helps. We have a few people who've actually made some very generous donations outside of the raffle as well. We have some families that have donated some gift cards for food. It's a really nice atmosphere to have that backing, and we really hope that, you know, someone that is interested in training and is willing to put that donation on the line, it gets one of those 2 memberships, and that's the least we can do for them helping support our team.
Yeah, that's a good deal. I mean, anybody that's ever been here knows what she's talking about. I mean, just a tour in here or just a day for a day pass in here, that blows that value sky high, man. So just think of that. And I'm sure they might even say, hey, try something out that you want for the day.
For
they
sure,
come in and
for
buy
sure.
a ticket, you know?
Well, we appreciate that, and I know you were here at our grand opening, 2005. You were here. We had the Margarita Man outside, and we had the cast of the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, and Jessica Rakosi as well, and Jennifer Alcorn. We had a little bit of everybody, and
I was actually sitting right here on that edge right there with Forrest Griffin and the rest of the gang right there. And I have a picture in my office of these guys back then. So it's like, yeah, exactly same place. So yeah, these guys, you know, unfortunately, people, they get stereotyped, gyms, well, how long are they going to be around? You know, you get that. Traditional karate schools, you know, I'll take my kid, but how long are they going to be there? You know, are they going to be there next year? You know, whatever. These guys have been there for a long time.
we've been here. It's you know, it's kind of not real to think about how long we've been here and how many lives that we've intermingled with. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I'll go to the store and this man comes up to me and, oh, that was my student 10 years ago. And it's just crazy. You know, we've been to so many parts of their lives, and that's the best part of it. I have students that have invited me to their confirmations, you know, their baptisms, their weddings, all sorts of crazy stuff. This guy was in my wedding. He was one of my bridesmaids.
I was a bridesmaid.
He's like a brother.
No.
They're all like family. Everyone becomes like family. I always make the joke, I have a really big group of big brothers, and my brothers could beat up your brothers, and they really could, because they're all really like brothers. And Marcus is one of our original guys. He's been here since basically day one. He had long hair and everything too.
Yeah, I had a little mini fro. I thought I was cool. it wasn't even like even. It was like lopsided on one side. So yeah, it's been a while. And back to what we were talking about earlier, like you know, that family-oriented type of environment we have here. I think it's for me, that's one of the things that just kept me here for so long, because you get to see everybody grow and just the environment mature to what it is. Like, I never would have thought when I came in here day one, I don't think they would have thought either that I would be sitting here and at the level where I'm at as far as my progression with martial arts, or even I wasn't even sure I had interest to that degree. And just see everybody around me grow, and we feed off of each other, and that's why I think it feels like a family. Like, I think when people show up, when members come in, or we show up as fighters, it's like ownership of one another. Like, that's my guy, and I'm fighting for them. I'm representing the brand of ValleyFightClub, and so we take a lot of pride in that, and we all kind of band together however we can, whatever we can contribute, you know, to keep this family strong and continue to progress. And that's you can't find that anywhere. And I think that's why we've been around so long and why we're so successful now. I feel like we're just we have a big ball of momentum, and we can't be stopped. And it gives me a lot of confidence to walk in, you know, on the 22nd and do what I need to do to be victorious. I don't even think of any other outcome but that. I'm not concerned of any other outcome but that. And it's because of what we do here, and especially, I don't know if you can find that anywhere else. And I'm not looking to find out if you can, because I'm continuing here. So.
And you know, people always ask me, what do I need to do to be a fighter? What do I need to do to be a fighter? and among a lot of things, the first thing you need to do is find a home. And whether that's, you know, a garage with your dad, or, you know, a gym with your buddies, you got to find a place that feels like home, a place you don't mind being there, because there's such a huge time commitment away from your family, away from your job. You're putting in a ton of hours in this gym. You need to like the people you're with, first of all. You need to get along, you need to share common interests and values, and it needs to feel like a family, no matter where you're at. It doesn't matter. You could be at this big chain gym down the road, you could be down this way in someone's garage. If you feel at home and you feel like it's your family, that's the first step. You can't just walk in there and, oh, well, I want to fight. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. At least it shouldn't. I mean, maybe I'm old school, but
it keeps everything fun. You know, if you just walk into a gym and it feels like it's just business, and you know, you show up for your hour, they teach you how to box for that hour, and then you know, you just move along and go to the next one. it's I think that has a big impact on how you progress. You can, if it feels like home, you can really progress in a short amount of time with people that you're comfortable with, and when it feels like a family. Like Marcus said, we all pretty much feed off of each other. So when he watches Money fight, he's getting amped up and he's ready to go. And when he watches Ryan fight, or when they watch him fight, and then me watching them fight, and I'm in their corner, it's you really get that adrenaline rush. And it's not just so much like, oh, I'm your coach, so I want them to win. You really care about these guys that are in there, so you want to just see them succeed in any way that they can. And if it were just a business, it wouldn't really matter. They get their money anyway, they pay their membership. Whatever,
And unfortunately, you get a lot of different places. You get that type of stuff. But when I'm sitting here and I'm looking, we're here on the corner of 10th Avenue and Lacey or 7th Street, wherever you're coming in Hanford, easy to find. These guys, I remember when this actual place used to be a tire shop, and then
I knew it was a tire shop.
Yeah,
it was a tire shop and a
purchase it. But
Delray
I don't know how many times that gas stations change.
Every 6 years.
What it is.
Texaco.
And the little tire shop right across the street on the corner. I don't know how many times it's been a hamburger place that's changed. These guys are still doing the same thing.
We haven't changed.
Yeah, and they haven't changed. They're still here. And it's pretty awesome, because actually years ago, a friend of mine that I know owns a Quick Lube down the street, and I helped them out there for a year, ran that place. And I remember when we used to be a tire shop. A friend of mine used to work here, and then actually we had customers come here, and then when it was purchased, and then I think it was shortly after that, I left there, and then this place gave birth, and everybody was just talking, hey man, check out that place, what's it gonna be? And then when they talked about it, everybody was, no, really? No way, that'll be badass.
Well, that was back in the time. I was just having this conversation the other day with Caleb Gilcrease in Jiu-Jitsu. And if you're watching, I told you I'd give you a shout out someday, so there's your shout out. We're just having this conversation. It was back in the time when it wasn't so mainstream. It wasn't, I'm not going to say it was the most taboo thing in the world, but it wouldn't be unorthodox to call it a little off kilter for what was considered sport at the time. And it was in the heyday of the Tough Man contest and Bloody Buddy fight gear, and everything was this and that. Yeah, human cockfighting, and that you would think, why would you open that business? That's not going to do well. But we've had the support from our community from pretty much day one, and that's important. And I'm so glad to have been in this environment, to see how the sport has transitioned. And I won't go as far to say mainstream, but into a mainstream-like thing. It's a sport. We're having a podcast talking about people fighting. Who would have thought in 2005 that we'd be sitting here talking about people making a ton of money doing this, that don't have mohawks and tribal tattoos up the side of their head and face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I got to say a big shout out to your dad. He had a vision during that time where everybody thought it would be a risk, and being kind of in the business that he does, he thought, hey, this is something that I think that will work. And that's a big risk during that time, because no one knew what way it was going to go. Right,
and my dad's been in the martial arts game his entire life, and I think we've discussed previously, I've come from a lineage of martial artists, and it's always just been who we are and a part of life. I had a dojo in my house growing up. Not many people can say that.
Right. Mr. Miyagi? No.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And he found something, took it, and ran with it. And he's always been that kind of person. I can't tell you how many times we get a phone call, hey, look outside. What did you do? Something crazy, right? And it's his baby. It's kind of, over the years as I've gotten older, transitioned into being a lot of my baby too. And I take a lot of pride in what we do and our team and just the sport in general. Any way I can get involved in it, I'm happy. If I'm reading an article, watching a video, watching the fights, it becomes a part of life.
Yeah, it does. And I know during those times, obviously because you were a young girl, at that time. I mean, you're young now, but I mean, back during that time when that decision was being made to do this stuff, you know, and I know your mom is into martial arts as well too. Was there any debate between the two to do this?
Oh no.
So
not at all.
That's awesome.
Not at all. I mean, my mom.
Usually one's telling you like,
No. You know, my mom. She unfortunately, she's not always able to go to every fight. You know, just some health issues. But she's just as much as obsessed into this as we are. That's how she is. She was there day one. She and I were working security when we actually held our last man standing smoker back when they were legal. And you know, we had this guy was in it, I think, right?
Yeah.
And my mom was here working security. She's always been involved in some form of martial arts, you know, a little bit, and then more so after she met my dad. And I think she just knew that it was just what we were gonna do, and she's always been supportive. She'll come down here, and I remember she had this shirt. It was a Krav Maga shirt, and it was her favorite shirt. And it said, "Don't be afraid to hit on guys." And it was a picture of this girl elbowing a guy in the face. She would wear that thing everywhere. And it's like, Mom, like maybe if we're going to this part of town in Fresno, you shouldn't be wearing that. She's like, "Oh, just bring it. You're with me," you know. She's always been into it too, and you know, there was never any debate, not like that. If there was, I never saw it.
Yeah.
And a ton of support, and like I said, that's part of the reason why it makes it feel so family oriented, because it is.
Yeah, that's
you know?
special to have that. I mean, and today there's always some kind of, I know things I do, a lot of debates, and then later on in years past, no one will actually admit it, but because I'm that way. I always welcome that challenge, you know. I see something and I just vision it and I can picture it and I know what avenues I need to take to make it happen.
Right.
But I don't always get the agreement on the other side, you know. But hey, here we are, me doing what I'm doing, long time, a long time.
I think there's a lot of that happening in the fight game between fighters and their spouses, and you know, here we know everyone's spouses come to the fights, we're all friendly, but I think for some people that there's a real kind of disconnect, especially with family and fighting, and it doesn't always go hand in hand. I mean, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices of time, and when you're a parent, that can be really difficult, you know. And
yeah, it does cause some difficulties, but it is one of those things where you have to have that conversation with your significant other, with the family, see how, you know, workable, how doable it is to, you know, balance that life. And, you know, there's compromises that have to happen. There's things that have to be taken into consideration. But there's a way to do it healthy, and I believe that's a nice situation, and we've been able to do it healthy for the last few years. And because of it, and because of that support, I think that's partly why I've been had the success I've had. So yeah, it does make things a little bit more complicated, but it's very doable. And the fact that we have the environment here, I'm fighting, you know, with the team, and my team are my friends. Like I can count on them outside of just the fight game. You know, if I want to have something at the house, those people come to mind. Like, hey, spend time with me. This is more than that, and the family is also a part of that too. So it helps. Like that whole mentality as far as a cohesive unit. So yeah, just to chime in on that, because that's my situation. It hasn't really been an issue. Initially, we weren't sure how it was going to work, but it's been working out pretty good.
And kind of expanding on that, I got to give your mom a shout out. His mom is always at all the fights, and she's the team mom for anyone who's fighting that night. We always have to make sure his mom's got a front row seat, because she's got to watch all of her boys.
Jackie Smith, shout out to Jackie Smith. She went over the top for my boxing fight. She told me, I got a surprise for you. You have to wait to see it the day of the fight. I was like, yeah, I'm not too interested in the surprise, but you know, I guess you already paid for it. And so the day of the fight, she had this full outfit from head to toe. It was sweatpants, it had my name on it, and it was like a sweater. It was my face from my last fight inside the ring, and I had one of two belts. I had the second belt. And I'm standing there looking super cheesy.
It's a big old picture too.
It was big, like big old printout, the high definition looking. And it was cool, but it was also awkward. Like, it was kind of like embarrassing. But yeah, I was like, man, that's my number one fan right there. So I gotta shout her out for that.
That's awesome.
She's always along for the ride too. We almost always go to Buffalo Wild Wings or somewhere after, and she's there. She's gonna be there and celebrate with everybody, and you gotta love that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Diamond and his wife Natalia. Natalia's amazing, awesome person. Shout out to her too. She's always around and at the fights, and I'm sure keeping him calm and helping him out, because it's stressful. If you've ever cornered a fighter, it's hard, and you can't show it. You have to. Everything's cool, everything's good, but in the back of your head, do I have the mitts? Do I have this? Do I have their mouthpiece? Is everything good? You gotta do that checklist.
That's true.
I think my wife just leaves me alone on fight day. She's like, hey, you got everything? I go, yep. She's like,
okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's.
So I think I get more nervous than our actual fighters do. You know, they're jumping up and down. Woo, fight day, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, just relax, you know.
Yeah.
Still got time. But inside, I'm like, oh crap, it's fight day.
It's tough. I think it's even tougher when you go from cornering every time to delegating, and you're not necessarily cornering, but you have so much inside of you. You're like, I need to go check on this. Are they good? Can they do that? And you can't. And it's tough. It's really tough. It's the cornering game. People don't talk about it enough. And I love that the UFC's Thrill in the Agony series, right? You get to watch the corners explode with excitement or crumple in defeat. And I think people need to realize that when you corner a fight, your head has to be just as on point as your fighter, if not more. You have to consider every outcome. You have to be prepared. You have to, if your fighter loses, you have to, break that to them in a manner that they can appreciate. If they suffer an injury, you got to talk to their family. You're in this position of everything's coming at you, and it's a very difficult thing. And there's a reason why once you find corner personnel that work for you, you stick with them, because some people just cannot keep it together. I've seen cornermen just like freaking out. They look like they're gonna have a stroke. Sometimes they get violent with their fighter. It's just, man, everyone has a different approach, but it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, you almost feel like you're in the fight with them,
but your hands are tied behind your back.
You can't do anything. But I think with us, like, because we've all, well, I won't say all of us, but at some point we've kind of cornered each other. I've cornered Diamond, Diamond's cornered me. John Gonzalez, he's not here right now, but he's cornered me. We've all kind of played a hand in cornering each other, so we've had that experience on both sides of the fence. And it is one of those things, like, I know what this person's capable of, because not only am I his cornerman in this fight, and it looks like that, that's that guy's cornerman, but what people don't know behind the scenes is we're teammates. Like, Diamond's my head coach coming into this fight, but when we're in here to train, more often than not, we're teammates. And so we jump roles all the time. We're always putting on different hats in order to help each other progress. So outside of like a traditional coach that's solely your coach, we're also on the mat rolling. We're teaching each other different techniques. We're progressing together. Somebody might have a little bit sharper boxing, and so we are like Diamond. Diamond's boxing is a lot sharper than mine, a little bit faster. So he critiques my technique, and so on. We kind of build off of each other, and the whole team benefits from whatever all those different attributes each other bring. So when you're cornering that fighter, you know what they can bring to the table. Like, there's no doubt, all across the board. And so when you're sitting there, oh man, I know he can do this. I hope he sees this, because I know when we roll, he does that. Yeah. And I know his jab is fast. He can fire that jab off, his distance is there, etc. So you feel ultra invested in that fight, even though you're sitting on the sideline, having to be composed and kind of guide your fighter for that fight, but also your buddy, your friend, and your teammate through victory. So it is emotionally draining while having a poker face. So
plus, let me touch on that. It's I think on our part, like you said, we change hats a lot. We help each other. We've all pretty much been in each other's corner at some point. Help each other get ready for a fight. I think we learn as friends, as family, as teammates, that we learn how to talk to each other. So it's not like, I'm just talking to my fighter right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Marcus is in the corner. I've known him long enough. We've been friends long enough to where if I have to give something to him straight, I can tell it to him, to a way that he's going to understand. He's not going to take offense. And you learn that with everybody that you have fighting. You can talk to certain people a certain way. If you're just one coach that yells every single time, no matter who you're talking to, sometimes that doesn't translate to everybody well. So with our relationship, he can tell me certain things, and I'll always be able to pick his name, pick his voice out from my corner, pick his voice out from the crowd. If he's yelling, if I hear relax, if I hear his voice telling me to relax and stay cool, that's always with me in there. And that can only happen if you train side by side with everyone you're
and it makes a lot of difference. You hear, there's a lot of times people, you watch fights and you hear those people like that. It's just that word right there, or that voice that's familiar with you, and that time of, you're in there doing your thing, man. Could just be all that you need, to calm you down, to refocus and start working on your reaction.
And I think that's what separates fighting from pretty much any other sport, right? Any other sport, you have a team, it's players, the participants, and you have the coach. The coach probably has experience as a competitor or participant, and they put together a playbook or they put together a lesson or something like that. But with fighting, it goes so far beyond that. There's no lesson book, there's no playbook that you can look at for every situation.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm the coach and you're the
no one
participant.
size fits all.
Right, you have to change those hats, and sometimes the participant or the fighter coaches some, and sometimes the coach gets in there and reminds the fighter of some things, and it's important to have that experience. And I think that's part of the reason why, when I say that I'm really happy to see this as a mainstream type sport, because you can actually see that play out. You hear the cornermen, especially with like the Thrill and the Agony series. You see it, you hear it, and I love when promotions get video or audio of the corner. I love hearing it. I mean, we always like to make jokes, head movement or something like that. We like to make jokes about some things that happen that maybe don't make sense, but to those two fighters, that might make a world of sense. And that's part of the game. Not in that fight, no.
Not in that fight.
Not in that fight, but it's part of the game, and I think that they need to showcase more of that, and because you can really see an insight into how a fighter does their thing.
That's it. It does make a lot of sense, man. And usually, like how you were talking about being a family, you figure it just in life in general, if unfortunate things happen and it's out there with John Doe in the street, and someone in your family's right there with you to watch your back, things just a little bit different.
And there's that aspect too. I mean, we've all been to an event where things get a little crazy, and something happens, and I know that if I look through the crowd and I see my dad's going that way, I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to get a beer. Well, Diamond's going that way, and Marcus is going that way. Oh shit, maybe I need to go that way too. What's going on?
2 beers for one, though.
It's right. You got to have each other's back, and I think you see that a lot. You go to a lot of events and you see fighters, win, lose, or draw. They exit the cage or the ring or whatever it might be, and you see everyone kind of going around them, talking to them. If they win, everyone wants to take a picture with the winner, and it's a really cool thing to witness. If you're able to slow down time and get a camera and record every moment from waking up in the morning and going from weigh-ins to the fight, you'd be in for a treat, because there's so much involved, and particularly in the amateur level. Yeah, that would be a great.
We need to do.
A great thing.
I mean,
to
just a day, fight day. Kind of something like HBO used to do in the past, just to give the people an experience. This is real. This is what happens. What they eat in the morning or whatever like that, or what not to eat in the morning, but this guy did, and then see how it end up, or lady end up. I mean, I think that's something that the fan doesn't realize. It's a lot of work,
So much goes into it.
And fight day really is. Yeah, it is. Fight day is probably the busiest day. It's almost like your first day at a new school.
Really is.
That you don't know anybody. Like, well, hopefully this goes right. And when it's all over, just to see the expression of the person, and how they react to the result.
Fight day right there.
There you go.
It's crazy when you see that experience. You go to weigh-ins, right, to support your fighter or whatever you're going to be doing, and there's so much involved that a lot of people don't know about. And I think a lot of people that get into it don't know what's involved. You gotta turn in your ticket money, you have to do this, you gotta go talk to the commission, you gotta go over there, you gotta go over here, you gotta go do your physical, then you gotta weigh in, then they're gonna double check your weight. Oh, well, that scale wasn't working right, so we're gonna do it again. And there's so much involved in every aspect of fighting, so much that is physical, so much that is mental, and so much that is just completely out of your control. There's nothing you can do. If that one guy decided to have Chipotle the night before and now he's 4 hours late to weigh-ins, well, now guess what? Everybody's waiting. There's so much involved.
Make sure you guys show up. If you're fighting amateur or pro, show up on time. If commission or camo tells you, hey, be here at 9 a.m., be there at 8:30 a.m.
Yes.
Because that's the worst dealing with this. If you're, like for the fighters, you already got to fight. In 7 hours, you're going to get into a cage and fight with somebody. And he's going to try to beat you up. So anything you can do to make this day as smooth as possible is going to help. And if you're the guy that's late, or sorry, calling the promoter, hey, I'm on my way, I fell asleep, or I slept in late, everyone suffers. All of the fighters have to wait. You're waiting around because they can't weigh you in if your opponent's not here. They can't get the show moving. So you're always waiting. You're waiting, and you're hungry, so you got to make weight. So you're just sitting there hungry, waiting for one guy to show up, or some dude forgot his cup or something. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that happens. So on top of a very stressful day, you're sitting there waiting. So if you're a fighter, show up on time. It helps everybody out.
It boils down to professionalism. I mean, if you're gonna be starting a job, or you're at a job and it says, okay, we have a super important meeting with all of the department heads at 9 o'clock. If you're not there a few minutes early, you're late. You need to be there 8:30 to be prepared. If you're rolling in at 10 o'clock, you're gonna get fired. But in the fight game, you're not gonna get fired, but you're gonna get on that blacklist of promoters too.
And again, the commission to get on you too, because we had that in May 11th, that Valley Fight Series.
Yeah.
So the commission was hot about it because there was a couple people who violated. We're talking to you, those people. So, and they were pretty active about expressing how they felt to those individuals. So
yeah, they're not happy either.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, especially in the amateur game, because I was an amateur card. So if you are at that point that at an amateur level you can't follow up with these small obligations, then it's a bad look for you once you go pro, especially when people are paying you to meet those commitments. So just, I don't know, just whoever needs to hear it, this is for you. So.
And the same thing can be said about pulling out of a fight.
Yeah.
You know, there are legitimate reasons to pull out of a fight. There are legitimate reasons, and no one is going to be upset with you if you have a legitimate reason. But there are some people, man, it's like, oh, well, the sky's blue. I was hoping it's going to be a little darker today, so I'm not going to fight. It's just crazy, and it doesn't do you any service. If you want to be a fighter and you pull out of a fight, that's not a good thing for you. You're hurting yourself. Yeah. You're hurting your opponent. You're hurting the promotion. You're hurting the commission. You're hurting the sport. Now, like I said, if you have a broken bone, you have a family member die, something that legitimately happens, you know, that's understandable. But some people, man, I don't get it. I mean, if you want to fight, fight.
I think it's one of those psychological games. Yeah. That's one of the things that I think people don't talk about enough either. I mean, it's the physical aspect. You can come in the gym, grind 150% every time you're here. You can be as sharp as a razor with your technique, whether it's boxing, MMA, whatever the case may be. But if you don't fortify your mind psychologically around the fact that you've made a commitment to fight, you're getting ready to get into a cage at some date and time, and you have to stare that person down, that opponent, and challenge them to a fight, then I think you lose there. I think you lose the whole time that you're doing your whatever week camp before you even step in the cage. And so for me, I've always kind of focused on that aspect of it, and over time just got to the point to where, hey, the fight's gonna happen. Just like Sunday's gonna come, just like this traffic light out here is gonna turn red eventually, so is that fight. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm ready and that I can do everything needs to be done to be successful when it happens. But I don't hear a lot of people talk about the psychological game of it. I think a lot of times some fighters, they psych themselves up, you see them flapping themselves. They'll be the Conor McGregor-esque type of deal. Whatever it takes for that person to get to the point where, okay, I can get over these jitters and get in the cage. But everybody has their own different way of doing it.
Everyone's got something.
Everybody has their own different way of doing it. And I know sometimes that's the case. You'll hear guys say, oh, I got hurt, or this happened, or they just randomly pull off the car. A lot more often than not, I wonder if that is the reason why that happened.
If it was a legit reason.
If it was a legit reason, or if this is the psychological issues overcame them, and they just felt internally that they just weren't ready. Even though physically they could have been ready, etc., just psychologically they were.
You need to be doing something else.
There's a ton of psychological warfare involved in fighting too. You've got the guy that is hell-bent on getting in your head. Oh, well, I'm going to do this, it's going to get in their head. Or, well, if I do this, if I wear my hat backwards, it's going to get in their head.
Mad dogs you the entire time and weigh in.
Or the guy that's, talking crap on social media, which is, not something that was an issue in the past. I mean, you had the Share Dog forum, but that was about it. And
now it's
it's
social
everywhere,
media platform,
Everyone's got their own method, and some people, that's their thing. Some people like to be humble. Some people like to do other things. But, I mean, with both of you being fighters, does that cross your mind going into fight week, with the actions of your opponent? Is that something that you think about, or is that something you realize after the fact? You're like, oh man, what a jerk. What would he doing that for? Or,
Honestly, for me, I don't really care what my opponent's doing. Because mentally, I'm focused on me. I'm focused on what I have to do. I'm focused on getting better, and I'm just ready. Like, I'm excited the entire time, and then like an hour before the fight, I'm like, ooh, crap. Okay, we're about to fight. So then I think that little time right there is when I go, okay, let's go. Time to fight. But the entire time, I don't care what my opponent's doing. Usually, when I get a fight. Well, I've had a lot of short notice fights, so I get a name, I get a weight, I get a date, and I'm like, all right, well, this guy's gonna do some sort of fighting that I've seen before. He's gonna punch or kick some certain way, so it doesn't really matter. And if he's a talker, he's a talker. Cool. It sells the fight for me.
Right.
If I beat him, cool. Like a lot of other people that he was talking to just saw me beat this guy, and afterwards. You find out all that stuff. Oh, he said this about you, he said that about you. Then you're kind of like, oh, shit. I wish I would have known that because I could have said something, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Plus, I don't think you ever want to be the guy that's talking crap.
No.
Whether you're trying to sell a fight or not, which I think is, like, if you're trying to sell a fight and that's the only reason you're talking crap about somebody, it kind of comes off as fake to me. Like when somebody talks crap and then they get beat up, and then they shake the guy's hand and go, oh, hey man, sorry, I was just trying to sell the fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you weren't even, like, that wasn't real? That was all
I'm
fake?
sick of that
So
shtick.
I don't like that. If you're really, like, an asshole and like to talk crap, cool, makes sense. I get it. That's that guy. That's his personality. Like Chael Sonnen, I'm excited to see that because he talks crap about everyone. And I think that's his way of hyping himself up, getting ready.
That's his psychological.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether they're a nice guy or not. He's gonna be like, I don't like that guy's shoelaces, man. The way he ties the shoes. So he'll run with that, and I think psychologically that helps him. It gets him ready, gets him prepared for war. But for me, I'm not worried about anything my opponent's doing.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like I don't know. I guess I've been lucky. All my opponents been like real respectful. I had one opponent.
Oh yeah, you got friends.
Yeah, they're like we're buddies. Like this one guy, I fought him twice. I was lucky enough to beat him both times. I don't say lucky, but I prepared for him like I should have. And the second fight, man, I introduced him to my girl, my kids. Oh, your daughter's so cute. And so it was like, man, I'm fighting this guy tomorrow. But and then even I think Diamond was like, he was a nice dude. And Diamond was like, man, what are you doing? You gonna hug him and kiss him? Go out for dinner together. And so, but I did have one opponent, and we actually didn't even end up fighting. And that guy, man, he was in my social media. He was come waking me up in the middle of the night. Hey, yeah, man, look at what I'm doing. He was flexing. He was doing push-ups. He had his camera right in front of him doing push-ups. And he's coming down on his push-ups and looking at the camera like this. Yeah. I said, yeah, I'm coming for you, Levins, but it almost looked sexual. It didn't even look intimidating. So I mean, and I kind of jabbed back because I was like, this guy is getting under my skin, but at the same time,
But that's just your personality, though.
Yeah,
You're a funny dude. You just like to make jokes, and that's what you were doing.
Yeah, and I was jabbing back. Obviously I was talking trash, but there was jest in it. Like if you read it, like how you got on this side?
It was comical. It wasn't because you can ask the guys. I am the proponent of being professional and humble. Don't say that because I get mad. But it was comical stuff, and it was a good back and forth between the two. And nothing serious, nothing like I hate your guts. It was just kind of like, okay, this is gonna be a good fight.
Just something for people like, oh man, these guys really kind of jabbing at it, and I want to see these guys fight because as much as these guys are jabbing back and forth, I'm interested now. It looks good on paper, physically. But now I kind of want to see who's going to come on top.
And it wasn't like a dislike thing, too. And I like it when it's a natural back and forth. If there's two guys that can really feed off each other and sell the fight without faking it and being legit and not being too respectful, and there's no hate there, then it's good. But I mean, sometimes it is nice when they really don't like each other. At least from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, if it's true, genuine, I'm like, I really want to see this, but
I almost prefer when it's a super respectful thing, like with Cowboy and Ferguson, right? Super respectful, the two of the top guys. That made me happy, and I'm kind of sick of the whole shtick of I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna dress up. I mean, I didn't realize weigh-ins was Halloween, but I mean, I'm gonna dress up and do this. I'm kind of sick of that.
The magic man.
Man, it's just cringy, and I don't even like that word, but it just kind of makes your face pucker. It's like that's just not.
You think that was because those two guys were just their styles, like that was a fighter's fight. Like I was excited for that fight when they announced it, like, man, this is gonna be a war. And so whether they both were hating each other or they both were respectful how they were, I think I was hyped to see it regardless. Just because I want to see. It's one of those fights that were in my mind before it actually went down. It was what's that saying? Batman. Unstoppable force meets an immovable object. That's what it looked like. That's what that fight was to me. And I couldn't really see how it would play out until you actually see them fight.
To me, it was one of those things that I think back to the Clay Guida Diego Sanchez fight that they actually inducted into the Hall of Fame that night.
That was awesome.
Like that's what I'm thinking when they said Cowboy and Ferguson, and I've been saying in my head for years, like when I'm playing matchmaker in my brain, thinking, okay, these two guys, that'd be a great fight, Cowboy and Ferguson. And when they said it was happening, I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be blood all over the canvas. Everyone's gonna be screaming. Joe Rogan's gonna be pretty much jumping on the table and going, oh, every 2 seconds because it's gonna be a great fight, and that's what it was. It was a good one. But thinking back to that card. There was another fight on that card that was just absolutely excellent that not everyone's talking about, and you got to look at. I come back to Tai Tuivasa. Like, I mean, it wasn't the best skilled fight. They both got tired, but I mean, you're talking about the heavyweight division. It's not the most stacked division right now. Those two guys, they put it on. That was a good fight. Yeah, it was a good one. And this weekend we have Bellator, or tomorrow actually have Bellator. I mean, let's get your picks, guys. We've got Lyoto and Chael. Chael?
Yeah.
By what? What method?
Probably ground and pound, TKO in the second round.
Something brutal?
Yeah.
All right, what do you think?
You know what?
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
I always do it. And then I'm like, after the fight, like, man, why'd I do it? But I'm gonna go with a cheetah on this one. I think just because Chael, if Lyoto's able to stuff him and keep himself moving on the outside, he can catch a counter. And Chael, every time I seen Chael lose, is because he fell victim to a counter.
That's true.
And that's what Lyoto does. So I'm gonna go Lyoto. I mean, if I'm wrong, I won't be disappointed because I like Chael, but I'm gonna go Lyoto.
What do you think, Chris?
I'm gonna go with Machida. You're gonna kick him in the face, same way he did to Randy.
Yeah,
Take him out.
This is a smart man right here.
With the push kick.
Hey, I seen him when he did the open workout.
Oh, yeah.
He was working on that. I was like, you know what? I bet you that's what he.
You know, I am a huge fan of both guys. I've obviously being a traditional martial artist, growing up, I'm a huge fan of Machida. I've always been a fan of Chael. I really fell in love with his personality after he did the Ultimate Fighter against John Jones.
Yeah.
I love his coaching style. Like I actually have stolen his touch him just touch 'em thing, and I'll say that a lot. I'm going to be happy either way. I don't know if I can. I see Money's over there dancing, trying to get us distracted. Yeah, real goofy. I don't really know if I can make a pick yet. If I had to, I mean, my bias side's gonna say Machida. But then again, I mean, I see Chael, and I like Chael too. Then we also have Neiman Gracie fighting Roy McDonald. What are our picks on this one? I mean, assuming Roy McDonald is
mentally there.
You need to put a leash on that guy. Is if he's really there after that whole debacle last time.
He was not passive.
Yeah.
I think McDonald blows through him.
You think so?
Yeah, if he comes to McDonald that we know, not just a fighter that we know and got him to where he is today, I see him blow through it. But passive, now he takes a breath, man, he was going to smite him.
Yeah.
You agree, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I ain't got too much to add to that. That's how I would see it too.
Yeah.
He has to be aggressive, kind of like.
Yeah, well, that's all he's waiting for, man. Newman's always waiting for is you to take a breath and boom, done.
That makes me think of that fight that he had in the UFC, him and Lawler too.
Yeah.
Where he's a constant pressure, and he had to murder him. Lawler had to murder him, but they both probably should have been dead 20 weeks prior to that.
Yeah, I think that fight took a lot out of him.
Yeah, that
Took
fight.
a couple years off
After
his career.
that, he wasn't the same.
That fight was ridiculous.
I mean, after seeing that, it's hard to not choose him. No matter who he's fighting, you know how tough that guy is.
Even with taking the loss, you endured so much just because you didn't want to let go of the idea of being victorious.
Yeah.
And that's a damn fight. Like, I was watching that fight thinking like, man,
These guys are crazy.
yeah, these guys are crazy. And if I was in this same situation, what's my threshold? Like, it makes you think that, like, where's my threshold at? Because you know both of them were ready to just, they're only one punch away.
His face is slit open at his mouth.
Yeah, his whole
nose is all broken.
His mouth was on both sides of his mouth, on opposite ends of his face.
It's like the Joker, man.
It was crazy. That was crazy.
That stare off they had.
Yeah. The fourth round, they ended the fourth round.
Oh, shit. Neither one of these guys are going away.
Yeah.
That's one of those fights that when you think of what's the best fight you've ever seen, and I can't tell you how many times I've been asked that question. But if I have to think to it, that's one of my top 5 contenders. That was a war. That was an absolute war, and I think we're going to be in for a treat. And I think Chris is right. As long as he's aggressive, Rory walks away with the win. But you can't have any hesitation, and that's for anybody in the fight game. But when you're going against a guy like Neiman Gracie, the second you hesitate, you just signed your death warrant. You're done. You can't do that.
Yeah, they're like snakes. Same
Really,
thing.
they are. Great month for MMA.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stuff going on, and I think we've had a lot to discuss.
A lot, and next week's even going to be more because more big fights coming up. We can get a report from you guys how everything is going down as you guys go down there, and then there's a lot. Next week is a lot of fights. I mean, I'm trying to think. Obviously, you guys will be down up north actually, and then the following week after that, 559 fights, and I'm sure there's other ones. I have a list in front of me, but 2, so the whole month, and then getting into July, we're already halfway through the year.
It's crazy, Everyone likes to set their goals for the year, and for me, one of the things that I like to do is set my goals for the next couple months, because that year goes by so fast. We're already in pretty much almost July. Then we have August, September, and we're into the slower season for fights. The winter, there's not as much. Yeah. But I mean, before we wrap up here, next month, International Fight Week. We have some big fights coming up. We have Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. John Jones is fighting. There's a lot of big fights to think about and to look forward to.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about following a fighter through the day of their fight day. And I just want to take a moment, man. When you said fight day, years ago, we had had several fight days, but an event called Fight Day. And there's one special guy that I'm thinking about. Unfortunately, this last couple of months, he suffered a setback health-wise, Joey Perez. And he was the one that organized Fight Day. And we had it at the Hanford Mall. And it was in behalf of Tachi Palace. We had the fighters that were going to fight that day. We had our panel and stuff like that. Myself and our producer, and I even talked a little bit about Joey. Joe, we haven't forgot about you, man. We say our prayers about you every day. There's still a lot of work to do, man. Those of you who have never in life have had a life-changing experience, unless you've gone through it, it's hard to explain about. It's kind of like being on the side of having birth to your child. You got to be there. And unfortunately, it's not good because everybody, whether it's even to them, anybody in your family is affected by it financially, obviously health-wise, and they're kind of hooked because they can't give you the energy.
Right.
But hey, prayers, they go a long way, man. So take that time, man, and keep them in your thoughts. I know Jeremy Luchow, who is his actual partner, 559 Fights. They have a GoFund out there. Try to help offset costs. Anything can help. Even if you can't donate anything, share it.
Yeah.
That helps a lot too. But that's something we've talked about, and it's something our producer is really interested in doing. I've even talked to some of the people at Tachi about possibly doing that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be them. We could probably do it with other promotions as well too. This way it helps, I think, get the community a little bit more familiar on what's going on, gets them closer to actually touch, even thinking about maybe doing a small little international fight week here in the Valley. Maybe not as big, obviously, but there's I think a lot of things people can benefit from doing so. Keep it in the back burner right here. It's a work in progress, something we definitely would like to host. So we got a lot working this year too.
We do, and I'm excited for everything that we're involved in. I'm excited for, and I think that's a great idea. And invest the community as a supportive community. That's a really good thing to do. And I'm going to quote one of our fighters, Denzel. I'm just going to say, I'm excited. I'm just excited. I'm going to keep saying it. They're going to start cracking up because it's a little inside joke there. But if you're watching Denzel, I'm going to quote you. I'm excited.
Really, really excited.
Just really, really excited. Really excited.
With that being said, we want a big old shout out here to the ValleyFightClub for opening the door to us, man. Great opportunity for that. Our main home out there in Selma, California, the Spike and Rail, the barbecue house. God, I see his face, I can't think of his name. Eddie and Gary out there by Say MMA. Batman, we're thinking about you, bud. Sorry about that. Lepler Digital Media, and also Onacar, the home of the $500 down. And if you do purchase a car, mention MMA Fight Pass. You heard it here, and they'll give you a full tank of gas, a full tank of gas, which that goes a long ways at this time. And that's about it. Till next week, we'll be back in Selma, California. So tune in, tell a friend, continue to support. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, that's good, guys. Yeah,
thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You guys did good. I told you they were hams.
Yeah.
Fight camera.
Make the time fast, man.